that. Me and Clint was talking about that yesterday.
Give her a partial thing.
And it was like it started raining the next 2 days, and then it turned.
I would like to.
Yeah, I'll get them finished.
Maybe give her some for a minute. I know she needs it for all.
I know it.
He'll give you a big enough. That's bad, ain't it?
You crazy. You better be careful.
I hadn't say it's I'd be dangerous, you know.
Stay true, man.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. 1 minute and 34 seconds.
I did. I had to.
Oh, there we are.
I guess I better. Guess better get to the closet, don't you?
Yeah.
She's a career politician. Trump is not a politician. That's why all of us love him.
Yes.
He's not a politician.
You know, I just know, Mary Louise, that I was at a local diner earlier in the day where I spoke to many voters about Haley and some of the other Republican candidates. And many of them had a lot of interest in Haley and thought she was just gaining momentum.
Now, Trump has been attacking Biden over what's happening in Israel, the attacks there. What did voters you talked to say about that?
Yeah, Trump actually in the rally today tried to blame the surprise attack by Hamas on Israel on Biden. You know, called Biden a weak leader and cited the administration's decision to free up $6 billion in funds as part of the deal to free imprisoned Americans. I actually spoke to Deborah and James Morse. She's a local realtor. He's a firefighter. She talked about that $6 billion, and he thought it would be different if Trump was in charge.
You just need strong leadership, and we don't have it. And I think, you know, if you've got a brain in your head, I think you realize that the U.S. wants to do right by everybody, but you gotta have strong leadership, and you gotta take care of yourself first, and then help others.
Oh, yeah. Strong leadership. That's what Tyler said was. I don't think so. So, I'm excited. Interesting how the new Speaker of the House was able to just get everyone to kick the can down the road. What he did was the same thing that Millie did, and Millie got kicked out. Well, who's writing this script? You aren't. I mean, Israel is decimating. They're doing the Palestinians, like cousins, they're that's what this guy says. So, hey, Jane. Well, Jane, what's your opinion on what's going on in the world? War. Why all this war? I know it's not like we weren't always at war. In the 240 plus years that the United States has been a country, we've only had 2 years when we weren't at war. So it kind of says something about what we are. We were set up to be the unipolar bully boy, but we're not in charge. Russell's in charge, Vatican's in charge, the city of London is in charge, not us. We will have Biden as president if that crew wants him. I'd give it a. We even make it to an election. Because, little Mickey, who has no real authority, authenticity, or experience, he's 2 heartbeats away from being president. I'm sure he's got a lot of strings in him. He looks like Pinocchio.
Everything good?
Yummy yum. So did you grow up in this neighborhood?
What?
Did you grow up in this neighborhood?
No, I grew up, I lived in Mount Cedar when I was younger, but I moved down here about 17 years ago.
Wow.
My husband grew up in Delaware.
Mountain City. It's interesting what's happening to this. So you've been here your whole life, I
Yeah,
mean,
pretty much. I moved to Winston. I lived down there for a long time.
North Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to live in High Point.
Yeah. My son still lives down there. He lives in Paultown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a newspaper photographer in High Point
Really?
in 68.
Yeah. AJ was born in High Point. My son, that's 30 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. But,
Everything's changed. When I lived in I grew up in New York City, which is like a really interesting place. It's nothing. It's like everything changes but stays the same.
yeah, I know K-Ville, K-Vegas, Turnersville, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
They've changed a lot.
Wow. Well, I look at what's her name, Banner Elk.
Yeah.
That's like the mob.
Hi. How y'all?
So it's things are now, Banner Elk. What happened to them is happening to us.
Yeah. It's possibility. How are you? I'm good. What can I get you to drink?
Mhm.
Okay, I have Pepsi and the.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, honey.
Let's see what I recorded. I listen to radio. That's the only real service I have.
Adolescents. And that's important because insulin resistance can increase the risk that kids will go on to develop health problems such as type 2 diabetes. NPR's Maria Godoy has more.
Previous research has shown that exercise alone can improve several health outcomes in overweight kids, including insulin sensitivity. But researchers wanted to know how much and what types of exercise were
COOP/ethically sourced.
From Indeed, a hiring platform committed to making.
With our teacher, Steve Butler. We are in a series right now exploring the important prophecy terms found in God's Word. You can follow along with our free study guide that you can download from our website. Simply visit WHCBradio.org. That's WHCBradio.org. Click on the program name Exploring Bible Prophecy, and there you will find our free study guide. Right now, Steve is exploring the important prophecy term, the Son of God. Open your Bibles, download your study guides, and prepare to explore Bible prophecy.
Hello, and welcome once again to Exploring Bible Prophecy. In today's program, we are continuing in our series entitled Important Prophecy Terms, and we are looking at 7 sets of terms, two terms each. So a total of 14, and we are comparing and contrasting. For instance, in point number 1, as you see on your worksheet, the Son of God and the Son of Man, realizing that both of them are indeed Jesus Christ. But if we, and I believe from a study of the Bible, that as you go through and you understand how the term the Son of God and the Son of Man are used throughout the New Testament, it helps you immediately zero in and have a much better, deeper understanding of what is being said by the author through the leading of the Holy Spirit. And
safety, to not be able to charge their phones, to not have access to water and food and that kind of thing. They are Gazans like the rest of Gazans, right? Just because they're journalists, it doesn't set them apart. They don't have any special protections in the way that Western journalists do. So to me, looking back at the book and that particular essay, it really highlights to me just how important it remains for us to value these voices and to uplift them. I just want to mention we recently had a conversation about what it's like to cover this war for journalists, and you can listen to it at our website, the 1A.
Oh, AC. I'm glad to see everyone. So it's interesting. Some of my shows, there'll be 75 people involved in the chat, right? And others, there's like 2. So is it timing? Is it, but because people watch this all over the planet, so it's not just, Eastern time. But I've been talking about the big splat for the last 5 years. And I got into it seriously 4 years ago. Probably did a year's worth of big splat shows. So I've posted 2,000 shows, and I don't take them down. They're all on there. Just get yourself over to them and go look at them. And I would put whatever show you like up on, up on the internet. I mean, up in your, hard drive, thumb drive, whatever drive you got. And, here's what when I was getting creative.
We just wanted to tell you what a great job you are doing, bringing yourselves to a bad day, because it's not coming to be end of times. The end of times not coming anytime soon, gang. Because you live on a planet of love's co-creation. You just don't know it. So it's not going to stop. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're not going to be able to do anything about it unless you are empathetic, unless you share, unless you help your neighbor out. Nothing is going to change. So good luck with that. Oh, we love watching it. Oh, we're not changing. We're not canceling the show anytime soon. It's just so great. We love watching you kill yourselves. And, we love it. It's just, it serves Moloch so well. Well, this is a great kazoo talking to you.
Yeah, that's the great kazoo. He's talking to you. Yeah, there he is. My brother. Ooh-doo-doo-doo-doo.
American seniors now have access to the new benefit of $300 every month, as long as you're over 65.
10 dumbest things we're being asked to believe about Gaza. This is Caitlin Johnstone. She tweeted this out. The number one thing, the dumbest thing that we're being, it's just like a David Letterman spot, right? Number one, that Israel had no idea what Hamas was up to prior to October 7th, but ever since, did you find, by the way, also, I just read today that there were reporters from like the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the AP were embedded with the Hamas during the October 7th thing. So you don't think they told their bosses what was happening? You don't think they knew? I bet you thought that the Palestine thing was all about something else.
Yeah, guess what? It's about a clash of civilizations.
That's right, clash of civilizations. It's the oldest story in the book. It's about natural gas. It's about oil and gas. You ready? Watch this.
Gaza is rich, gas rich, at least 1.4 trillion cubic feet rich to be precise. But there's a catch.
Geologists and natural resources economists have confirmed that the occupied Palestinian territory lies above sizable reservoirs of oil and natural gas wealth in Area C of the occupied West Bank and the Mediterranean coast off the Gaza Strip. To date, the real and opportunity costs of the occupation exclusively in the area of oil and natural gas have accumulated to tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars.
Back in 1999, the
And now you know the rest of the story.
I mean, you don't even have to finish the story because I know exactly how this goes.
That's right.
It goes the same way every single time.
So wait, this means it's not about religion, Kurt.
No.
I mean, sure, it's about religion for suckers who have to fight and die for the energy business.
Right, and Bill Maher.
And Bill Maher. I just mean it's not about religion for any of the people in charge making the decisions about the war in Gaza. Boy, why does God always leave incredible wealth underneath bad people?
I know.
It's such a hassle having to wipe them out to get our energy-related gifts from our God.
I mean, since I was a boy listening to my Bible storybook tapes, the bad people been on top of the stuff God said we could have.
Do I really need to play the rest of this video? I don't think I do. I'll still play a little bit, but that's it. You got the story. That's it.
I mean, you don't have to.
That's it.
I did start looking it up because it's the BG Group, which is a British exploration company who found it.
BP or BG?
BGG.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know if they got split off or something, but they were going to cut a deal. This is when I tell you now they're going to cut a deal. But then 2006 is when they had something going around 2006. Whenever 2008, when Israel went back in, that's when they took the oil fields, and they planned the attack while fake negotiating to do the oil deal. It turned out they had planned it, kind of like we did with Putin. Yeah. A lot of these natural gas things are very similar. You pretend you're going to have a peaceful thing while you build up whatever you're going to do to go get.
That's what the Minsk Peace Accords were about.
If you look at it, I noticed some similarities, that's all I'm saying.
So I'll play a little bit more, but that's really...
Palestinian authorities signed a deal with British Gas. Just off the Gaza coast, they struck it lucky, and 2 wells were drilled. That's Gaza Marine 1 and 2. It was a multi-billion-dollar gift from God, an economic boon both home and abroad.
This is one of the key messages here today. There will be gas available for export. And from my conversations with Palestinian officials, including President Arafat, it is clear that they have no interest in just sitting on a gas surplus.
Fast forward to 2007, Hamas comes to power, and Israel launches an offensive on the Gaza Strip, leaving behind 4.
So let's remember why Israel's funding Hamas.
Yeah.
That's the thing no one talks about. Israel's funding Hamas. Why do you think they're funding Hamas? So they can then use their terrorism, they're fighting back against the occupation and the blockade, as a pretext to go in and take that land. That's why they're telling everybody, get the hell out of there. We're gonna flatten it. We're dropping leaflets. Get the hell out of there. We're gonna flatten the land, and then we're gonna take all the gas and oil. That's what this is all about, of course.
I think they already took it way back then, didn't they?
Here we go.
1,500 dead Palestinians, but taking with it the gas fields. Now, within the year, Israel announced the discovery of the Leviathan natural gas field, which did include Gaza's riches, all in all valued at $453 billion.
Wow, that's almost as much money as Jeff Bezos has. That's a lot of money.
How much does he have?
I don't know. I thought he was a trillionaire almost. Wasn't he close?
No, is he?
Am I wrong? We're going to look it up. Here we go. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was close to being a trillionaire.
And Gazans haven't seen a shekel, or to be more accurate, they have been denied around $47 billion in revenue.
So they're not giving any of the money to the Palestinians.
Yeah, they did take it, and they didn't give them their share.
They already took it.
Yeah.
Okay.
As for Tel Aviv, well, it's gunning to become a new hub.
When I told Trump about this, he urged me to get this message out to as many true patriots as I can. Folks, something big is about to happen to this nation. This has nothing to do with wearing silly masks again, or China buying up our farmland left and right, or spy balloons soaring through the air, or even the hundreds of thousands of people pouring into this country. What's about to come is much worse. The mainstream media refuses to talk about this. They're trying to hide the truth from you. Folks, I'm a combat veteran, Purple Heart recipient. I put together a documentary. It's completely free to...
Gunning to become a new hub.
This is a historical moment in which the small country of Israel becomes a significant player in the global energy market. The Memorandum of Understanding will enable Israel, for the first time, to export Israeli natural gas to Europe. And it is even more impressive looking at the significant set of agreements we signed over the last year, which position Israel and the Israeli energy and water sectors as a key global player.
Let's just run through this then. At that moment in time, so we're talking 2022, Russian oil and gas was sanctioned. Iranian oil was sanctioned. Syrian oil fields were, and still are, illegally occupied by US forces.
Thank you, sweetie. You read my mind.
Hit it that way.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. What kind of coffee you have? Actually, I have no idea about it.
It's black and good. Black and good. Yeah, it's black and good. Yep. Yeah, coffee is coffee. Let's see what else. So there's. Did you know? Did you know? And that was from Jimmy Dore, one of my news sources. Let's see who else is here.
Up here in Control Central, it's all going along to plan. The totalitarian two-step is just dancing across your planet. Yes, it's, going along the plan in China and Italy and Iran and now in America and in 65 other countries. Everyone's getting scared. You're going to want to be put in camps, yes. Who benefits from all this? That's all you gotta know. Who benefits? The big kazoo, that's who. We're talking to you. We own you. You are just useless eaters. headaches. We love messing with you. This is the Grand Kazoo. You know, your stock markets, your money, it's worthless. Toilet paper is worth more. This is the Grand Kazoo talking to you. We own you. We control you.
Yep, that's the Grand Kazoo.
If you can't read small print anymore because of vision problems, try this simple ice hack with water before bed and watch your vision go.
We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable. So did the divine right of kings. Any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings. Resistance and change often begin in art, very often in our art, the art of words.
Ursula Kroger Le Guin was among the most acclaimed and respected science fiction writers of the 20th century. A best-selling author in 40 languages, multiple winner of the Hugo and Nebula Awards, and inspiration to generations who have followed her. Here in the 21st century, become something more than a beloved author. She has come an icon. She may be the only classic sci-fi writer to regularly trend on TikTok.
Ursula
Le Guin.
K.
Le Guin.
Le Guin.
Le Guin's one of my favorite authors. Science fiction is the art that builds worlds. In her science fiction stories, Ursula Le Guin didn't just tell us a better world was possible. She showed us better worlds by building them in the imagination of generations. Worlds where life is fairer, more equal, and more just. At this point in time, when a better world seems to be slipping through our fingers, I want to understand the better world that Ursula Le Guin showed us. I want to dig down to the big ideas that shaped Le Guin's storytelling. I want to understand not just Ursula Le Guin, the sci-fi writer, but Ursula Le Guin, the philosopher. Through the medium of sci-fi and fantasy, Ursula Le Guin spoke a powerful philosophy. A philosophy that shows us how the art of words can resist and change the world, in which human imagination, our ideas and feelings, our dreams and visions, and the very stories we tell have the power to shape reality. It's a philosophy of immense power, the power to build worlds, and the power to destroy them. Wait right there. We're talking about a kid's fantasy author, the lady who wrote those dragon books, right? Well, you might be confusing the subject of this essay with Anne McCaffrey, or Jane Yolen, or any of the intelligent sci-fi and fantasy writers who have created beautiful and politically relevant stories.
So, it's good to read. So, you want to read some interesting stuff? Give me a buzz at my dudeawake42@gmail, dudeawake42@gmail, dudeawake42@gmail. And I will email you one of my novels, or go to xrated.blogspot.com, griotpublishing.blogspot.com, and I have stories up there too. But those, I put them up years ago, and they're still kind of up there. People find them. I haven't been able to dig them up because they've changed all their protocols. And you guys who are more adroit at and computer savvy probably be able to find them. But if you get a hold of me at my email, which I'd love to hear from you, dudeawake42@gmail. Yeah, Jane is, give me a buzz, dudeawake42@gmail. So harmless, makes you happy. Why are you so dead? Yep, I'm happy. Zombie in an eternity war. Yep. Zombie in a maternity ward. I mean, you could be in the Gaza Strip in a maternity ward. Ooh, that wouldn't be good. So it's so you heard it from Jimmy Dore. This Gaza Strip war is all about oil and gas. Who'd have thunk it, right? And real estate. It's a real estate. It's like redlining with tanks. But you know, in New York City, I help revivify a number of neighborhoods like Williamsburg, Soho, Tribeca, Lower East Side, Red Hook, South Bronx. We went in those areas where the neighborhoods looked like they had been bombed. You know, that the IDF had just left, and they couldn't find Hamas, but they flattened the place, and we took over buildings. Right? We used the Homestead Act of 1876. We started our own bank accounts. We started our own credit union because no bank would take our money, so we started our own credit union. We started growing our own food. We took over abandoned schools and started our own schools, and it did quite well. That's why New York City has gardening on the tops of all its schools. That's what we did. We fed our kids that way. Message retracted. Oh, you should have left it up there. It was a nice princeless. Princess Strongless. So PC, politically correct there. You got time on your hands? Get a hold of me at the dudawake42 at Gmail. Dudawake42 at Gmail. Still.
Hi there, gang. I just finished a really long live chat. Must have worn a few of you out. My signal and chat crashed my laptop, so I have no idea at what point I stopped being part of the chat. Some of you seem upset that I wasn't responding to you. Maybe because I couldn't see what you were saying. Anyway, I'll come back soon. My laptop died, so the only way to leave everything is phone put it on. So anyway, that's it. See you soon. Hope you enjoyed Tonight Show and the other ones.
When was that?
Have fun with life.
Have fun with life.
President Biden says there is no possibility of a ceasefire. And former President Trump has made it clear that he will also serve the Zionist state of Israel.
Indonesia appeal to the U.S. to do more to stop the atrocities in Gaza. Ceasefire is a must for the sake of humanity. Once again, thank you for your invitation, President Biden. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we met outside, as you get out of your automobile, we had a very important discussion on climate. The president said, I'm cold. We're the subject of the Gaza ceasefire, no possibility.
This is one issue that the entire U.S. government seems to be in agreement on. But America and its NATO vassals stand alone with Israel. Millions of people all over the world are taking to the streets in one of the most unified, peaceful protests ever. Most people are seeing this as it is, an illegal occupation sliding quickly towards genocide, which is good because the world is now on the brink of a holy war, and the only way to stop it is a mass awakening. The U.S. is firing airstrikes in eastern Syria, where the Iraqi militia have been launching drone attacks at U.S. military bases. The Islamic resistance in Lebanon, Hezbollah, has launched several operations targeting Israeli forces, who have been bombing several towns in southern Lebanon.
You're getting scammed and you're honest.
And again, this is all a scripted piece of crap. No. John Boy's in California, and his parents, I don't want to, did that, done that. I don't like to repeat because the meal always is. That family was very sweet to put me in for 3 nights and 2 days before John's father, get out. He actually, get out. Oh, get out. He's little. Just like my dad. So just like all dads, not all, but most dads who get to be that old, and that's scary, right? When you have nothing, like I have nothing, you don't get scared about anything because you got nothing to lose. I don't even have a car. I keep having dreams about me driving roller skates around. So anyway, so no, so PC, what kind of kid you gonna have? As I see, it's gonna be a great kid, right? A beautiful child, and because you're a beautiful mother. I think you're the mother, right? So you're in my prayer cachet for good outcomes. So what you got to do is just think of God's unconditional love and Jesus' unconditional forgiveness. See it, you don't have to read the Bible. You don't have to go through any hokey. Just feel that love. That's all that God wants is, a girlfriend, right? A companion, right? That's what I'm writing about in my novels. It's the relationship with God and what death is about. As Buddha said, death is like a tight slipper, not hard to get out of. Meaning, life is a tight slipper, and death is kicking that slipper off. So, but when I went to John's mom is such a cook, and she is so frenetic. It's like living in a top, and the father is just. When the girls would go out and go shopping, just him and me, I asked him questions. Again, he's like my dad. That I would ask him questions about his childhood and his father, who was the police chief. And he was an adopted child from Ireland. He would have starved to death in the potato fields, and so he has, early on, he has a lot of trauma, right? And so. So he played the guitar pretty good. John's, his mother's father was a great engineer, built a, UN building, the Seagram's building. He was the engineer. He didn't own a company. They paid him pretty good. But he was also a well-known jazz musician and an actor. And his grandmother was a well-known artist, painter. And so John, genetically has all these talents that are pretty amazing. And he, look what he does with them. Right? And his parents, were motivated by, we got to make some money. And they did, real estate. In the United States, that's really the only way. And real estate is all about timing and staying at it, right? And that's John's parents. They bought low, and in neighborhoods that were kind of on the edge. And now those neighborhoods are all high end, and they bought houses for 30, 40 grand. Now they're all worth about 400 grand. They got about 50 of them. They rent them all out. They probably have a rent roll of maybe 60 grand a month, right? So, and they own everything. They have no real heavy mortgage. They're not leveraged. So when the real estate crash comes again, they will be able to not have to worry about it. Those people will still want to pay whatever they're paying to be in those places. So John, he's going to inherit. He's got two sisters, and they're going to be not having to worry about things. So it's and so when I was there, and so I was supposed to go on to from their house on to New York and spend the winter in his mother's house. But the older sister, who had just been there, said, "Oh man, the place is a mess, cockroach, rats. Oh, you don't want to stay there." And my mother and her brother are fighting over the place, so you're going to have issues with that guy if you camp out there. So pretty much, no one gave me that 411. I was going to drive all the way to New York and then have no place to stay, which is pretty much the genetic motif of that family. And so, so I went and visited John since I was there, and all the things that he didn't come down. He could have come 6 miles. His oldest sister's birthday, didn't come to that. See his niece, didn't do that. See his parents, didn't do that. Come for Thanksgiving, didn't do that. And all the families pulled up, so it's nonstop telephone calls on Thanksgiving. John could have, been part of that, but no, he was all by himself way up there. So his mother packed up she's really good at this, so packed up a to-go bag of all those goodies, and I brought them up to John. And then, a day later, we had an ice storm that I got stuck there for 2 weeks. So that's how I got stuck there. And we were eating his, because all he had was Little Debbie's and white bread and olive oil. And I was going out there picking the things in the forest and cooking them up. Oh, I can't eat that. That's poison. So that's why I got sick. Because I had almost a month of John's mother's cooking, which really is good, but for my body, not really good. Right? I'm much more a burdock, kind of guy. So, 42 minutes and 42 seconds. I love it when that happens. And what time? Yeah, I'm gonna go. People to see and places to be. So I just want. This place is right in between those people and places, and so I thought I'd just drop you guys a note. Yes, me too. The squirrel in John's head escaped. That was the thing that was on his head, right? Essentially. Yeah. I'm glad I'm wearing my glasses, PC, because I'm glad I'm reading your messages before you take them out. So anyway, let's see. Is there anything I can get off of my...
Honestly dumb if you haven't caught on to this, but you were supposed to get $6,400 from the government last night. Let me explain what this is.
Tensions keep rising between the U.S. and Iran since the Israel-Hamas war began. Almost every week, Iranian-backed militias have attacked U.S. bases in Syria and Iraq. It's the latest example and a serious escalation of Tehran's use of...
All right, some of you have still been asking me how Medicare recipients can claim their Flex card today. If you're on Medicare and you...
Let's talk about the solution. How do you get peace in this region? There's a variety of responses that I've seen from people. I was speaking to somebody last night, for example, who says the only solution is to get rid of all the Palestinians, that they need to be moved, that they need to go to Egypt or to Jordan, and that they need to somehow get out. Of course, that wouldn't be done voluntarily. It would have to be done by force if you're going to do it, or coercion, or fear, right, to get people to abandon. So that's one solution. A lot of people, you got Ben Shapiro here in the United States saying that pretty much, that there should be no Palestinian state except Jordan, and he would prefer for everybody to be gone, all the Palestinians to be gone. That's definitely a sentiment. There's
Welcome to the Mark Steiner Show here on The Real News. I'm Mark Steiner, and it's great to have you all with us. In this conversation, we're going to continue our talks with people in Israel and Palestine who are involved in the struggle over there at this moment. We're going to talk today with two Israelis in our continuing coverage of this Gaza war. Leah Terechensky is a name you know from Real News. She joins us from Toronto, and she's an award-winning filmmaker. Her film, On the Side of the Road, is an in-depth look at the denial in Israel of the Nakba. She runs the Winchevsky School in Toronto, which is a social justice Hebrew school for children. And Leah, good to have you. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
And Oren Ziv is with us. He's joining us from Israel. He's co-founder of Active Stills, which is a collaborative project with photographers using their stills to fight for social justice and to end Israeli apartheid. He's also a writer whose work appears in many journals, and it's been a long day for him. So, Oren, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know it's late, and you've been rolling. Let me just start with that. I don't get a little context. And Oren, if you just begin, tell us about your day, your last couple of days, and the work you've been doing and where you've been.
So for the last 5 weeks, I've been covering the events both in the south of Israel, but also in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and in the West Bank. Of course, for many Israelis and Palestinians, the reality we knew before 7th of October completely changed. Personally, I was waken up by sirens on October 7th, and I drove immediately to the south. Already on the way south, I understood this is not another round of violence. I don't like this word, but it's not another escalation, because unfortunately we are used to cover these events. But already on the way, we understood it's a big-scale attack. And while arriving to the south, already on that day, the first hours of the Hamas-led attack, we realized this is something different. The lack of police and army, it was clear the Israelis were not ready for it. The sights, the things we saw in Sderot and other cities of, just bodies lying around you understood, as somebody who covers Israel and Palestine for almost 20 years, you know that here there's on the Israeli side, there's really good first responders and emergency forces, and when you see bodies lying for hours in the street, you understand the situation is not under control. Of course, in the days after, we could also gain access to the communities, mostly kibbutzim, that were attacked by Hamas, and we could witness in first hand the killing of civilians, the systematic killing of civilians. And of course, in the following weeks, we continue to follow this, but as well the situation inside Israel with the hostages, with the struggles the huge escalation towards any criticizing voices towards the Israeli government, especially Palestinians with Israeli citizenship, the very harsh limitation of freedom of speech, police preventing any kind of demonstrations, calling even very simple and humanistic things.
You get the picture.
Watch this. A former Saudi intelligence chief says this. Saudi intelligence chief gave a speech about what's happening in Gaza, and this is what he said. Watch this.
All militarily occupied people have a right to resist their occupation.
So he's saying that if you're being occupied, you have a right to resist it. So he's saying
Talking
that
about Ukraine.
he's talking about Gaza,
Even militarily.
even militarily.
I do not support the military option in Palestine. I prefer the other option, civil insurrection and disobedience. It brought down the British Empire in India and the Soviet Empire in Eastern Europe. Israel has overwhelming military superiority, and we see in front of our eyes the devastation and oblivion it is bringing to the people of Gaza. I categorically condemn Hamas's targeting of civilian targets of any age or gender, as it is accused of. Such targeting belies Hamas's claims to an Islamic identity. There is an Islamic injunction against the killing of innocent children, women, and elders. The injunction is also against the desecration of places of worship. I also condemn Hamas's gifting the higher moral ground to an Israeli government that is universally shunned, even by half of the Israeli public, as fascist, miscreant, and abhorrent. I condemn Hamas for giving this awful government the excuse to ethnically cleanse Gaza of its citizens and bombing them to oblivion. I condemn Hamas to further undermining the Palestinian Authority, as Israel has been doing. I condemn Hamas for sabotaging the attempt of Saudi Arabia to reach a peaceful resolution to the plight of the Palestinian people. But equally, I condemn Israel's indiscriminate bombing of Palestinian innocent civilians in Gaza and the attempt to forcibly drive them into Sinai. I condemn Israeli targeted killing and the indiscriminate arrest of Palestinian children, women, and men in the West Bank. Two wrongs don't make a right. I've been hearing a repeated phrase in American media, unprovoked attack. What more provocation is required to make it provoked than what Israel has done to the Palestinian people for 3/4 of a century?
That is kind of so. It goes back to just like what they did in the Ukraine war. People go, well, Putin he's the one who invaded. He attacked. So they start the story in the third act, right? They forget that we overthrew their government in Ukraine in 2014, and we had Minsk, we had peace agreements with Ukraine totally ignored. They bombed the people, the Russian speakers who didn't want to go along with the coup government, and they bombed the shit out of them, killed 18,000 people or so, and then they ramped up their bombing to provoke Putin to cut the whole thing. They don't talk about the threat of putting Ukraine into NATO. They just start right there, and that's what they do with Gaza too. They go, well, Hamas started this war. Well, you forget the 70 years of oppression and occupation. But yes, they do. They just out of the way. You forget that Israel funded Hamas so they could do this very thing. Yes, they do. So here we go. Back to this.
I refer you to the article in the Middle East Monitor of February 17th, 2014, under the title, Israeli Army Veterans Admit Role in Massacre of Palestinians in 1948. Read it and weep, as I did.
And they also forget about the Nakba, how Israel was founded. They went and massacred Palestinians.
No, they said we could all live together, and then the Arabs said we don't want to live with Jews.
That was the story.
That's the story I was told.
Yeah, that's the story you were told. That turns out that
This revolutionary new superheater can warm up any room in minutes without giant electricity bills. Tired of...
So I'm going to talk about now. She looks like she's goofing around because they are goofing around. He's smiling, she's smiling. They're all goofing. He's the only one actually playing the part.
He's in character.
He's in character.
I like that. That's commitment.
That guy took some. That guy took some good improv. Or Stella Adler, right?
Yeah.
So this is by Cory Morningstar. That's a great name. Morningstar.
You better be Native American.
I hope so. And it says wrong kind of green. This is from January 17th, 2019. So this is over 4 years ago. The manufacturing of Greta Thunberg for consent the political economy of the non-profit industrial complex.
Right.
So let's read a little bit of this. What's infuriating about manipulations by the nonprofit industrial complex is that they harvest the goodwill of people, especially young people. They target those who are not given the skills and knowledge to truly think for themselves by institutions which are designed to serve the ruling class. Capitalism operates systematically and structurally like a cage to raise domesticated animals. Those organizations and their projects, which operate under false slogans of humanity in order to prop up the hierarchy of money and violence, are fast becoming some of the most crucial elements of the invisible cage of corporatism, colonialism, and militarism. And who said that? Hiroyuki Hamada.
Well, I agree with him. Never heard of him, but he's right.
Never heard of him, but
That's why I don't think that guy was real. I think that's I think this is all like a stunt to make you feel like something's happening.
Look at this. So this will tell you. This is from Finance Monthly. Climate change. We don't have time. Really, Finance Monthly?
Boy, nice of them to be concerned. You know, after so long of all them denying that it was a thing, and now not only is it a thing, but it's my fault.
That's right. This says we don't have time. And that's a stern look. She loves that stern look. I'll tell you that. So we don't have time. As this term is quickly becoming the quote du jour as a collective mantra to address the ongoing environmental disaster that can best be described as a nod to the obvious, it's true that we don't have time. We don't have time to stop imperialistic wars.
We can't even stop to get the hostages back.
That's
from
right.
Hamas.
We got to keep bombing.
Got to keep going.
War being the greatest contributor to climate change and environmental degradation by far, but we must do so. Of course, this is an impossible feat under the crushing weight of the capitalist system, a U.S. war economy, and the push.
Okay. Well, I gotta go. I think you got a flavor of it. I will try and come back this afternoon, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock.